for ways to squeeze just a few more dollars out of your budget? Sometimes just a single tip can save you a tidy little sum each month. Bundle a few of them together, and now you're really saving money. Hi, I'm Rob West. The Bible teaches us to be wise stewards of God's resources, and that starts with living on a budget. Today, I've got some great tips to help you stretch your budget. Then it's your calls on any financial topic at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is MoneyWise, where God's Word is our guide to financial freedom. You know, one of our favorite verses about stewardship and living a frugal life is Proverbs 21:20. Precious treasure and oil are in the house of a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it. The word budget doesn't appear in the Bible, but it'd be difficult to live up to that verse without living on one. But we shouldn't stop there. We need to always be on the lookout for ways to make our budgeted dollars go further. So here are some tips to do just that. First, take advantage of your grocery store's option to order online. Now, why is that? Well, because when you order online, you always know exactly what you're spending. If you go over budget, you can easily remove something from your digital cart. Some folks have reported saving over $100 a month that way. Plus, it saves a lot of time. All right, let's say later in the week, you have to pick up an item or two, maybe on the way home from work. When you walk into the store, don't get a cart or a basket. If you have to carry the items to checkout, you won't be able to impulse shop. That might seem too simple, but it works. It's a little more challenging when you have to get milk, but that'll help with the workout as well. And speaking of stores, don't go into places where you'll be tempted to overspend. Hey, if you're on a diet, you don't want to hang out in donut shops. Well, the same holds true for living on a budget. If you're tempted to overspend in big box stores, just don't go there. Here's another simple trick. Keep your checking and savings accounts at different banks. If you can't see your savings account, you're less likely to tap into it. This is another reason to have your savings account in a higher interest online bank. You can connect it with your checking account to transfer money, but otherwise your savings is out of sight. Now, are you struggling to pay off debt? Well, do it first. Don't wait to see how much you have left over at the end of the month. Budget an amount for debt repayment and transfer that money when it comes in. That way, you know it's done. Now, our next trick is something financial teacher and author Howard Dayton always recommends, and that's having a weekly budget meeting with your spouse. Only he calls them money dates. Sit down and discuss how well you did the last week staying on budget and how you're doing at meeting your goals. And that leads us right into our next tip. Have an accountability partner. Probably your spouse for large purchases. Agree to consult the other person before spending, say more than $50 or $100. By talking about it, you may discover the item isn't actually necessary, and many times just the thought of having to clear it with someone else makes the desire to spend go away. All right, here's another neat little trick, one that you won't need once your emergency fund is sufficiently built up. But until then, let's say some unexpected expense crops up and blows your budget for the month. Don't give up and say, well, I'll try again next month. Instead, write up a temporary budget to get you through the rest of the month or until your next paycheck. Cut out all unnecessary spending and try to stay as close to budget as possible, living on as little as you can. Don't let it become an excuse to overspend just because you hit a bump in the road. And for our next trick, make it just a bit more difficult to buy stuff online. These days, with just a few taps on your smartphone, things automatically appear on your doorstep. It's so easy to overspend that way. But if you delete your credit or debit card information from online stores, it'll slow things down. If you have to get up and hunt for your wallet, you're more likely to think twice about making a purchase. Now, let's say you're a cash-only kind of person. Well, kudos to you. You're automatically spending less that way just from the psychological factor of having to use real dollars. But did you know it can save you money another way too? Let's say you have to make a major purchase and you've saved up cash for it. Ask for a discount because you're paying with cash. The store is automatically saving 2 or 3% by not having to pay a vendor fee, and they might pass some of that savings on to you. Well, those are some of the tricks to help you stretch the dollars in your budget. Hey, your calls are next. 800-525-7000. I'm Rob West, and this is MoneyWise, where God's Word is the last word for your finances.
Author Ron Blue reminds us of the promise in James 1:5.
If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask, and let him ask in faith, and then obey.
And in his book, Never Enough, 3 Keys to Financial Contentment, you'll find that biblical wisdom to help you navigate your daily money decisions. Right now, you can request your copy with a gift of $25 or more to MoneyWise. Just visit MoneyWise.org and click the Never Enough banner at the top. That's MoneyWise.org.
If you have money in a retirement account or just a general investing account, you know the stock market can sometimes be like a roller coaster. But it is possible to enjoy both profit and peace of mind in investing, no matter what's happening in the market. You can see a short video webinar on that topic at soundmindinvesting.org. Since 1990, Sound Mind Investing has sought to offer financial wisdom for living well. soundmindinvesting.org.
Well, we're so glad to have you back with us today on MoneyWise. I'm Rob West, and we're looking forward to taking your calls and questions. Here's the number, 800-525-7000. Hey, MoneyWise is listener supported, and this is a great opportunity for me to encourage you to prayerfully consider coming alongside as a partner of our ministry. We can't do what we do here on the radio with our coaches, through the MoneyWise app, on the web, any of it without your generous support. And so if you'd prayerfully consider a one-time gift, perhaps even becoming a monthly partner, we'd be grateful. Here's how you do it. Just head over to our website, moneywise.org, click the donate button. It's quick and easy and secure. Again, it's moneywise.org. Click the donate button. By the way, when you're there, look for 2 things. One is the opportunity to connect with a coach. We have volunteer coaches that are trained and ready to come alongside you to help you develop a spending plan. That's free, apart from a small charge for the digital workbook of $25 one time, but they'll walk with you for 6 to 8 weeks, meeting weekly through a video chat. They'll teach you some of these principles we talk about on MoneyWise and help you set up your spending plan. That part of it, there's no cost for. It's part of our ministry. You can also find a certified Kingdom advisor in your area when you're at the website. Just click Find a CKA. This would be a professional who can bring you competent financial advice from a biblical perspective. We have some phone lines open today, 800-525-7000 to Orland Park, Illinois. Roger, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great. How can I help you?
Well, generally speaking, my wife and I are doing okay with finances. We just got our mortgage paid off after 30 years.
Wow, great.
We have investments going with an advisor. I keep asking my advisor because I hear so much about Roth IRAs and I don't have one. And I've asked him about it, and his response is generally, "You're too old. It's not going to benefit you that much," and kind of kindly shrugs it off with me. But I keep hearing about it. I was just wondering if your thoughts. I'm 57 years old. What are your thoughts on starting a Roth IRA?
Sure. Well, I think the first question, Roger, is always, what is your savings goal? So if we're talking specifically about retirement savings, have you done some planning to determine, what you'd like to have available when you reach that time where perhaps either you can't work anymore or the Lord redirects you to something else? Let's say that's somewhere between 65 and 70. Have you determined what you're ultimately trying to have saved up by that point?
No, we have not at that point. We're just going along with the program, kind of,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's key because, so often we think, well, we just need to save as much as we can. And if we got a late start or we haven't been putting enough aside, that may be true, but it's not true for everyone. And we don't want to just save for saving's sake. So I think we really need to define what is our finish line and, perhaps doing some retirement planning with the advisor that you already have. It doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive, but just to look at what do we project our expenses are going to be in retirement once we're no longer saving for retirement, and perhaps if we're debt free and maybe the kids are off the payroll, but with inflation factored in, what are we going to need to have? And then what might we expect based on our current understanding of Social Security? And then what gap are we trying to solve for that we're trying to build up assets to, turn into income? And then with your current trajectory, where will you be? And do you need additional retirement savings going in? And if you do, what type of account is the best one to do that in? Did you say you're currently saving in a 401k at work, and this Roth that you're considering would be in addition to that?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think the first question would be, would you benefit by just increasing your 401k contributions? There is something to be said, Roger, about the Roth IRA losing a bit of its benefit as you get closer to retirement, because it's going in on a tax, after tax basis. So you're not enjoying that deduction today, but you're getting the tax-free growth. But arguably, as you start to get closer and closer to retirement age, getting more conservative, you're losing a bit of the benefit of that, because you're not going to, get as much in the way of tax-free growth through the compounding as you would have if you would have started that, Roth IRA 20 years ago. So I think that's perhaps what your financial advisor is getting at. And I think the key there is, should you just increase your 401k contributions? The only thing I would say about having that Roth is I kind of like the idea of you having both the tax-free and the tax-deferred buckets, so you can determine which is the best to pull from when you get to that season. Because, we may be in a very high tax bracket. We may see increases in tax rates between now and then. I mean, certainly, the Biden administration is proposing that. Whether or not they're successful, it remains to be seen. And, which segments of the income earners that applies to is unknown as well. But, let's say 10 years from now, tax rates are significantly higher than they are today, then you would want to have some money in a Roth that you could pull from tax-free before you pull from the IRA, because all of that would be taxable income as it comes out. So I think that's one of the benefits that might, argue in favor of, well, even though we're saving in the 401k, assuming we're not quite on pace with where we want to be and we want to put more away, let's start this second bucket that we're going to contribute to in the form of a Roth IRA, and then we'll have both options available in that season based on tax code and other situations going on around us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You sound just like my advisor. You talk fast. Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome, Roger. We appreciate you listening, and thanks for calling today. May the Lord bless you. To South Florida, Erica, thank you for your patience. How can we help you?
Hi. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Very good.
Good. I just want to tell you that, first of all, I really appreciate this show. I listen to it almost every day that you're on my drive home, and I just appreciate how intuitive you are. You're patient and listening. You're so good at your response. And I just want to tell you as a listener, I really appreciate this show.
Well, that's very kind of you, Erica. Thanks for saying that. It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you. So I have it's not many questions, but it's kind of a holistic question. So I'm 45. I have an IRA. It's a 401k with $125,000 in it. I put about 12% of my income between my part and the match by my employer, which equals about $600 a month. And I also have a variable annuity that has about, I think the last time I checked, it was $55,000 or $56,000. So I have, I'm sure, 20 years of working left, and my house is at 67. I owe 67, so I'm sure I'll have it paid off in, I don't know, maybe say 10 or 15 years. In January, my car will be paid off. I'm going to put some extra money toward my home, so paying down my debts. My question is, how much money do you need for retirement? And does it seem, I'm a single person, I'm a single mom, does it seem like I am projected to have enough money in my retirement?
Yeah, it's a great question, Erica, that so many people are thinking about. And there's rules of thumb and benchmarks that we can use that in some respects are a little scary because they tend to be a lot more than we think we might need. But it really comes down to what is it actually going to take to fund your lifestyle. And I love the fact that you're on a path to be debt free because that's going to keep that as low as possible. So let's do this. We're going to pause for a quick break. I'm going to ask you to hold. And when we come back, I'll weigh in specifically on your situation. Stay with us. More to come just after this.
Siri, what's the best way to save for college?
I'm not sure.
Well, what does the Bible say about co-signing for a loan or investing for retirement?
I don't know that either. But you can find those answers on the free MoneyWise app.
Really?
Sure. You can connect with the online community and get answers and encouragement from MoneyWise coaches.
That sounds great. Siri, download the MoneyWise app.
Got it. Learn more at moneywise.org.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't have had the procedure I needed without CHM's help sharing the bills. That letter from a member displays Christian Healthcare Ministry's purpose to glorify God and serve His people. CHM is the original non-insurance voluntary health cost-sharing ministry, enabling its members to share the cost of each other's medical bills. Call 800-791-6225 or visit chministries.org.
So glad you've joined us today on MoneyWise. Phone lines are open for your calls and questions. 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. With us now is Erica in South Florida. Erica is a single parent. She has about $125,000 saved up in a 401k plus an annuity that has about $55,000 to $56,000 in cash value. And she's wondering, is she on track for her long-term savings for her retirement at age 45? And, as I said, Erica, there are some savings benchmarks that you can find. I mean, what you'll see typically out there is that, at 45, you should have somewhere between 2.5 and 4 times your salary saved. As kind of a barometer as to whether you're on track or not. So you may be in that, area. You may not be. The key though is to allow the compounding to work for you, to keep your lifestyle at a minimum, to save consistently over time so that you can build up assets to be able to fund your lifestyle when you get to that season where you can no longer work or God redirects you. The good news is, as you said, you're on track to pay off your home in a reasonable amount of time, probably well before you reach retirement. You're on track to pay off your car, and I'd love for you to continue to save that payment so you can buy the next one with cash or close to it. But I think because you've limited your lifestyle, you've purposed yourself to be debt-free as best you can and as quickly as you can. When you get to that season, it's going to mean that you don't require perhaps quite as much as even you do right now. Perhaps you could live on, 70, certainly less than 80% of what you are living on today. The good news is, if you take 125,000 and you grow that at 8% over the next 20 years, and by the way, the S&P 500 has done more than that over the last, number of decades. Probably if you go back 50 to 100 years, it's done quite a bit more than that. But let's just say it grows at 8% for the next 20 years, and you continue putting in that $600 a month, you'd have nearly $1 million. Now, obviously, inflation is going to erode some of that purchasing power, but you should be able to convert that, let's say it's $950,000 to about $40,000 a year in income that you could use to supplement your Social Security. If it grew at 7%, it'd be, about $800,000, which you could convert easily to a $32,000 income. So I think the key is, because you're limiting your lifestyle, you purposed yourself to be a saver, and you have time on your side, you're going to have plenty of resources. And I think the key is just to kind of run that through your budget over time, maybe look at that each year just to say, what do I expect my retirement budget to look like, and how much income would I need? At some point, you'll get an idea of what Social Security is going to pay you, and obviously we could see some changes and even some reductions between now and then because we've got some challenges with that system that I believe we'll fix. But I think the key is you've saved up a good bit of money and you're on a good trajectory. I would stay on that. And then perhaps if you can bump that up a bit over time as, the kids come off the payroll and you have a bit more discretionary income, that would always be a good thing as well. Does that help though?
Yeah, that's really fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling. And I think at some point along the way, it would probably do you some good to sit down with a financial planner just to do a bit more of a deeper dive into this so you have an appreciation of kind of what your current trajectory is. Because keep in mind, I didn't even factor in that annuity. And obviously, that's going to continue to grow and you could convert that into an income stream as well. So I appreciate your call today. Lord bless you. And we'll hope to talk to you again real soon. To Union Grove, Wisconsin, Matthew, thank you for holding. How can I help you?
I had a question regarding making a contribution from my corporation to myself in terms of some sort of a investment or retirement 401k or Roth IRA. And I'm just going to tell you right now that I am completely illiterate when it comes to these. I'm 49. I've got 6 kids. My wife stays at home. We've invested in land and mostly out in the country. And the company has done very well, and I want to diversify a little bit. And I know that I can take money and put it into some sort of an investment portfolio from my S corporation. But I'm not sure how much I can put in and, what my limits are with that.
Yeah. So you don't have a retirement account set up currently. Is that right?
I have no retirement set
apart
up
from
at all.
the land.
But I've mostly invested in land and, houses and land.
Yeah, great. Well, there's some real simple ways to do it as a self-employed individual, Matthew. One of the simplest is called a SEP IRA, which stands for a Simplified Employee Pension IRA. And the benefit of that is, unlike a 401k, there's not a lot of administration or fees to manage that on an annual basis in terms of filing fees. And you can contribute up to 25% of your compensation or a max this year of, I believe, $58,000, whichever is less. And, if you're self-employed, your contributions are generally limited to 20% of your net income. So, that would be probably a great starting point. Another option is what's called a solo or a solo 401k or an individual 401k, which would be another great option to look into. But I think either of those, the SEP or the individual K, I think would get you started and allow you to set up systematic contributions into that account. So you've got something that you're saving in addition to your real estate that you could grow over time, especially now that you've got some, good revenue coming in and perhaps some money that you could direct into these accounts on a tax deferred basis, which will really help. So I would look into both of those, perhaps check with your tax preparer, or you could even set them up yourself. You could use Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, one of the discount brokers that would let you set that up with very little cost. And then you could go ahead and start making some systematic contributions. I'd probably start with index ETFs or mutual funds just to get a broad diversification into the account, and just make sure you put as much as you can in. And 20 years from now or down the road when you're ready to start pulling it out, you'll be glad you did. We appreciate your call today. All the best to you and those 6 kids. Congratulations. You're a blessed man. And that's going to do it for us today. And as we wrap up, let me just say thanks for being with us today. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for listening. And thanks for being a faithful supporter of this ministry. Beyond the broadcast, we have an entire team of contributors and coaches and web designers and media producers working each day to develop tools and content to help you become a better biblical money manager. And none of that work would be possible without your financial support. We offer a lot of it for free, and that's only because of the generous gifts from listeners like you. If you're not yet one of our financial partners but would like to be, would you visit our website at moneywise.org and click the donate button to sign up? We'd certainly be grateful. In the meantime, please set an alarm on your phone and make plans to join us again next time. I'll be here, and I hope you will be too, for the next installment of MoneyWise.
MoneyWise is provided by MoneyWise Media and listeners like you.